Alright guys, so if you don't know this, a new expansion came out for Destiny 2 probably 2 weeks ago. By the time you guys see this video, with Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs and Call of Duty and everything, it'll be a while before you guys see this one. But I just wanted to focus on Destiny 2 overall, not specifically the expansion. While we will talk about the expansions, I want to focus mainly on the game and just kind of how free to play and it moving to Game Pass and all that, and how that's changed Destiny, in my opinion, for the worse. But first of all, I guess we need to start off with talking about how Destiny was originally. If you are new with it being free to play or with it on Game Pass and didn't play Destiny 1 or didn't play Destiny 2, how it originally came out, let's start out there. So if you open Destiny 2 now as either a returning player, a free-to-play player, a Game Pass player, doesn't matter if you're new or old, essentially everything that is considered old Destiny, the story, all of the strikes and initial raid, all of that stuff that is initial Destiny 2, is now, I guess, tutorial or filler, that's what you want to call it. And they did a similar thing with Destiny 1, but just not to this extent. So essentially, after a certain amount of time the game's been out, they say, okay, well, anybody who's new or any newcomers, we'll just put them at this level, this light level, which is the scaling level in Destiny. And so you start out with this light level, and you'll have to work your way from there. And so my problem with this before and now is that light level is the level you reach when completing everything within the campaign and the strikes and all that stuff. And so with free-to-play Destiny is what we're going to call it, current Destiny, how it works is you come in, again, doesn't matter if you're new or old, and you're automatically put at that cap level for completing the story and all of those strikes and raids. And the problem with that is, to me at least, the whole aesthetic and feel of Destiny is grinding and getting that better loot and fighting harder and harder areas and stuff like that. But essentially, again, if you are new to Destiny, the entire, what's initially the whole game to old players, is now a tutorial because they bring you up to level. They bring you at the level that you need to be to beat all of that, right? Without having to struggle or get new gear. So let's say it's 250, right? Let's say you start the game at 0 in the old version and work your way up, play through the campaign, play all the strikes, all of that, get up to 250. That was the highest level you could achieve before any of the expansions and all of that. So now in free-to-play or current Destiny, what happens is when you first open the game, you're already at that level 250. And again, I'm trying to explain this to people who haven't played Destiny or didn't play the original version. Essentially, you're skipping that entire grind to get to that 250, which is part of Destiny. That's part of the fun of Destiny and all of that content. Because, at least with me, you're not gonna play all of this content that you're super over-leveled for. It's insanely boring. Destiny, while the gameplay is very good and parts of it are very repetitive, and that can be a whole nother video, but while the gameplay is good, you're not going to replay and play sections that you're just super overpowered for because it's just not fun. My point with all of that is that you essentially get to this point where you're skipping probably 15 hours of content and grind, which is, again, part of Destiny. And so, let's say you're new or you're coming back for the first time since it went free to play, right? You go straight into an expansion. I think this is if you're playing it on Game Pass, at least, where you have most of the expansions for free already. And so they slap you straight in an expansion, even if you start out a brand new character, right? They don't give you a tutorial section or have you unlock the tower or any of the original stuff that they have you do. They just slap you in the first part of the expansion and just put you in. And this is something that I talk about with just all games in general, and I don't really understand why games cut content that was there previously in other games, and this is pretty much the same concept. Essentially, what's happening is that you're just cutting out all of that beginning material, that campaign and those strikes. Now, the campaign isn't very good, right? I'm not saying it's the best campaign ever, and you're not missing out on that much, but you're still missing out on a lot of content, a lot of grind, and again, that's just what Destiny is. And so, I feel like ever since Destiny went free to play, they really just pushed you to buy expansions, right? Because, again, let's say Obviously, as a returning player, there's nothing for you to do, and you have to buy expansions to get any type of new content. But as a new player, you come in, you're already a higher level than all of the missions and strikes you have available. Right? In order to get any kind of challenging or grinding feeling that Destiny actually is, you would have to buy the expansions or be a part of Game Pass. And so, while the game being free to play is great, right? It allows all types of people to play it, and new players come in, and old players go out, and all that stuff. But it cuts its content, and that's always been a problem with Destiny. More importantly, it cuts the grind, right? And that's essentially probably what the thumbnail of this video is probably going to be, is that it just cuts a grind out of the game. And in a game like Destiny, at least to me, that grind is the most fun part, right? And grind isn't always fun. If you look at something like Anthem, which totally flopped, not sales-wise, but review-wise, they have sections where you just have to grind, and it's just filler to add more playtime to the game. But in something like that, that's not what that game is built for. Destiny, this is what Destiny is. It's grinding. It's having to play these strikes and levels over again and fighting harder and harder difficulties of enemies to get a piece of gear that's one number higher than your last one so that you can just play this next mission, get absolutely smacked. That's just what Destiny is. It's what Destiny has always been, at least to me. And so, again, this isn't going to be a super long one because recently everything has been a super long one. I just kind of wanted to rant on Destiny a bit since the new expansion's out and all that. But you guys let me know what you think of Destiny's whole free-to-play model. Obviously, it's a good thing that it lets new players come in, but more importantly, I want to know how you feel about them kind of just cutting the grind and campaign and just like the learning section out of the game and just kind of throwing players straight in without being introduced to that grind. But that's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, Assassin's Creed Valhalla review will come out hopefully this year. That game is so long. Cyberpunk review is definitely not coming out this year because the game probably won't even come out this year, period. But they will come out eventually. We'll have other videos in between. Make sure you guys subscribe, comment, like the video, and I'll see you on the next one.